Good early morning, everyone. It's Sandy. It is President's Day. Abraham Lincoln is my favorite. We're from Illinois. And I love this one because of the illustrations, but also just how clear it makes it that, look, he has a book in his pocket. He had a book everywhere he did chores. It's a lovely story about just someone so curious, determined to find books when they were hard to find. Not so for us, right? So Daffodils is coming up 5 times a year. We seasonally pick our best books. And this is my stack that I'm going through. I go through many more books than I end up reviewing, and Carrie does too. But I've been kind of on a tear, reading like crazy this weekend. Lori Frankel, I mentioned Family last time. This is sort of like, remember Three Men and a Baby with Tom Selleck? This is a much more realistic look at what it's like. But we have 3 women, PhD candidates in English literature, hence the book border. And a baby comes into their life through one of them. And this is just a lovely book to get you back into reading if you have been off like I have for a few weeks, just doing other things like moving the bookstore. Just really liked this book. Atlas is the name of the baby. I love, you guys, this one I read in one day yesterday. Dolly Alderton is someone who I'm a big fan of and had to read her newest, and Antoine Laurent too. That's why I came upon these 2 books. So Dolly Alderton writes about contemporary life, but always with a world view. And this is just the most engrossing book, with probably the last best 30 pages I have ever read. I couldn't put it down. I'm going to reread them a couple times. It is basically about a breakup and how hard it is to let go, mostly from the man's perspective, which is absolutely fascinating. It's hilarious. It's not a downer, but I loved this book. Astronomer in Love is a time travel. I think it's 250 years when it looks like Guillaume is an astronomer for King Louis XV. And 250 years later, we have an estate agent that comes upon and through the telescope meets someone. Translated from the French, Antoine Laurent is just a really great author who is also a great fun read. Great fun read, right? Say no more. Look at this cover. I had to have it. Plus, when I looked at the back, someone subscribed me to Book of the Month Club, which kind of makes me laugh. It was such a thoughtful gift, but I get a lot of books. Anyway, this is one I found out through them, and it is a Midwestern girl living in the Bronx who ends up maybe ready, maybe not. She's having a baby. So it's just a wonderful little story, and the cover just grabbed me on a drab day when I was searching for books, right? Historical fiction that is not World War II is definitely a category I try and fulfill for you guys. I loved the look of this. They both happen to be wintry covers. In this one, indeed, we have Stockholm. Sven from Stockholm decides to depart and lead a remote Arctic Circle existence. Bored with Stockholm, he wants to go mining, and what he finds there is an accident. And so he ends up going even further into Finland, and even on an isolated fjord builds a life and a so-called family. I loved the person who mentioned that I was reminded more than once of Annie Proulx's The Shipping News, which is one of my favorite books. And even though the description of facts seems like it couldn't possibly be, but everyone reviewing this said it's charming and endearing. So I am really interested in that one. This is 1902, I think, to 1920 in Manchuria. It's the story of a mother trying to find out who murdered her young daughter, and the detective, who's actually kind of on a different case, how they travel through China and Japan trying to resolve both of their issues. And it seems like something of a fable. It's gotten absolutely great reviews, and you can definitely immerse in this one and learn a lot about that era of Chinese history. This one just grabbed me because of the idea. The author found a box of artifacts in a dumpster, and it was just not artifacts, an everyday person's cast-asides and memories, which for whatever reason it was time to throw them out. And so here we have a woman who was raised on a set of encyclopedias when there weren't many other books in the home, and I similarly had a set of encyclopedias that we got. I think when my mom shopped at grocery stores, you got one a month or something. And so she has an attachment and she tries to find a home for these encyclopedias, and she ends up finding a warehouse that takes new things in, but she becomes fascinated by the ordinary people's items that they have left there and decides to create a museum. Isn't that a great premise? Excitements and the women, very probably dissimilar in tone, is women who are veterans. Kristen Hanna, I actually haven't read before. What's the matter with me? And this one is set in Vietnam, where a woman decides to join the action and her experiences there, but also as a veteran back in America. And the excitements just grabbed me because of the reviews. It's two women who are the most famous British World War II veterans. They were spies, and they are a national treasure. They go to Paris in this case to to receive an award and decide or become involved in one last solve. So how interesting is that? These are recommended by people who are real readers and love to take books on. Abraham Verghese, this is probably the book of the year on a lot of people's lists. And his explorations are so in-depth. Everyone has felt immersed in his home country. And I loved his previous books. So I'm dying to catch up and read the best book of 2023. In Memoriam, also rave reviews from people that I love their reading style. Alice Wynne, unbelievable debut author. And once again, I look to the backs and we have Maggie O'Farrell, who is one of my favorites, talking about this love story between two soldiers who go off to the Western Front. And it is much more, or as much a story of love as it is of World War I. So, dying to read that. This is another one that I don't know if I would have found if I hadn't turned it over and someone I loved it. Mary Lawson, Town of Solace, is one of my favorite books, and she writes, "What a fabulous read. Forever Home is Norton's best so far. It's complex and compelling story, truly unputdownable, but most importantly for me, it has real heart." So I think she does too. So wherever Mary Lawson goes, I'm going to figure this out. So you guys, we'll see which ones make the cut for Daffodils, and hope you sign up. Happy February.